Welcome to the Kentucky Line. I'm Matt.
And I'm Clifton. And so this episode, we're going to kind of do our best to break down the bracket and then give you our predictions. Not that they mean anything, but just discuss some of these games and kind of give our opinions on who we thought got the best draw. I don't know how many tuned into our live stream, but hopefully somebody was able to catch that on Facebook, hopefully to improve that in the future. Well, I guess the first four actually kicks off tonight, Matt. So we won't break those games down one by one, but is there any teams there, particularly on those 11 seeds, that you think are the biggest candidates to maybe win a game or two in the tournament?
Uh, on well, I think I could see Texas winning a couple games. Um, if if they were to get through it.
Yep. That's probably the game I'm most looking forward to. It's going to be tonight, Texas and NC State. To me, like Will Wade's always dangerous, and then like you said, Texas is a talented team. It's just a matter of when they've put it all together, and it's definitely one of those games I could see them beating BYU in the first round, especially without Richie Saunders. They're a completely different team. I mean, Diabata is he's a special player. He's probably going to be the number one pick, but sometimes you can't do it all on your own, and you've seen they've taken a significant step back without, that senior leadership and, that probably their best shooter and true scoring threat in Saunders.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way. BYU is definitely susceptible early. I mean, they've got two really good players, so if they play well, they could beat a few teams and actually make a little bit of a run.
Right.
Um, but I could definitely see Texas beating them in the first round for sure. But and then as far as I'm not sure if I see SMU or Miami of Ohio uh, beating
No. It
making much
wouldn't
of a
shock me if
run.
Miami of Ohio just doesn't get just smoked in
I
the
think I think Miami of Ohio is going to I think SMU will beat them, and I don't think it's going to be that great of a game.
right.
Um, and so and then I think Tennessee will beat SMU.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into it. So what I thought we may do, Matt, is we'll both kind of give our quick picks. If there's any analysis we want to give, we will. And then if it's a game we disagree on, we may go to like ESPN. I know they have like a bracket predictor, and let that be our tiebreaker. But starting out, number one overall seed was Duke playing Siena. I think they're going to be one of the early games, the 2 o'clock games on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And to me, Duke has a complaint, and I'm not a Duke fan. I'm a Duke hater. But if I'm the number one overall seed and I have the bracket they have, I'm a little upset.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I don't feel like people are talking about it as much as I figured they would. I mean, people have basically said it's the hardest bracket,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard multiple people say that. But yeah, it's the hardest bracket, and I don't think it's very close.
Yep.
And when you're the number one overall seed, it's not supposed to be that way. So,
Right. All right. So I'm assuming you're going Duke here, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah. So that gets to our second game, Ohio State and TCU. So who's your pick there?
I'm picking TCU in this, and mainly because I have actually seen them play 3 or 4 times this
Mm-hmm.
year, and I haven't seen Ohio State play once.
I'm the same
So,
way. Ohio State just seems like one of those teams. Every time I've watched them the last couple seasons, they're always just kind of disappointing. Maybe they give teams, maybe a tough game sometimes, but they lose a lot of games they probably shouldn't. And so I'm with you. I'm going TCU. All right,
yeah,
next one. The 5-12 is kind of that traditional upset you see every year. But this one, I think, is a little different. It's St. John's coming off a big East Tournament championship against Northern Iowa. So I'm riding with St. John's. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going St. John's. Although I think Northern Iowa could keep it close for a while. It's two completely different styles of play, but yeah, I mean, I don't. If I'm picking, I pick St. John's to win that game.
Yep, I agree. And then the next one is Kansas and Cal Baptist. This one we talked about on the selection show. I don't know if I remember seeing Cal Baptist in the tournament. And I think a lot of this is going to determine Kansas, kind of like Kentucky, what team shows up. Uh, but who do you have in this one?
I've got Kansas in this one, just because I don't know who Cal Baptist is, and I don't have any. So
Yeah, yeah, that's me. I just think Peterson's good enough to. He should be able, if he's engaged even halfway, he should be able to pull your team through a game like this. But I think after that round, it's just all going to depend on kind of what Peterson shows up. All right, then we have Louisville and South Florida. So what are you thinking there? I know Louisville's kind of they withheld Michael Brown. I've not heard for certain if he's going to play in this game. I assume he will. But any thoughts of the upset here?
I was gonna say I'm not sure who if Brown's playing or not. I'm assuming he will too, but I actually have South Florida in this one.
All right. So this one I have Louisville. So I hope I'm wrong there. We'll go ahead and go to ESPN, and their prediction is this: that Louisville has a 76% chance of winning. So we'll move Louisville through on this one, and we'll see. I'm sure that I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the ESPN thing is wrong. But that's probably also, honestly, Matt, taking into account a healthy Michael Brown, and that's just not been a sure thing here lately. All right, next one: Michigan State and North Dakota State.
Michigan State, I've got moving on.
Yeah, me too. I think that's one. If Michigan State loses, I could see it being early like this one. But they've been pretty constant this year, and I think they're a pretty good team. All right, UCLA and UCF.
Honestly, this one's a toss up for me, but I actually picked UCF.
I did too. Uh, and the reason I think I went that way, I felt like my bracket was a little bit chalk through this one when I was filling this out, and I was like, well, there's going to be an upset somewhere, and this is a minor upset. But the brackets since the transfer portal have been trending more chalk than ever before. We'll see if that continues this year. And then you have UConn and Furman. I'm assuming you're UConn here.
I'm UConn for sure. Although a lot of the talking heads are talking about UConn may have to watch out against Furman. I'm not buying into that. I'd
No.
say UConn and UConn big.
I feel like every year you have one of those teams that kind of becomes the media favorite before the tournament starts. And like you said, this year it seems to be Furman, but typically that's not the team that makes the run. Those are usually the teams
Nope,
that get just blasted. Uh,
that's right.
and all right, let's just finish out the East. So we got with our bracket, we got Duke and TCU.
I've got Duke.
Me too. I hate to say it, but I got Duke. And then the next one, St. John's, Kansas, could be a terrific matchup. Last year, Kansas had to play Arkansas in an early round matchup, and Cal got the best of self. What about Patino and self?
I'll tell you, this game I went back and forth. I mean, it took me a while to pick this game because I think Kansas is as dangerous as any team in America if
Mm-hmm.
they play like I've seen them play a couple times this year when Peterson's really got it going. So, but they just seem so inconsistent. I went ahead and went with St. John's.
I did too. It's just hard to see, Kansas maybe putting together 2 games in 3 days at that high level. And I think that's, for the most part, kind of been what Patino has been this season, a consistent team. They've got the loss to Kentucky, which I'm not sure Kentucky could do that again right now. And then they've got the really bad loss to UConn, but they turned around and then smoked UConn just a week later. So Patino's got them playing good right now. And then that gets us Louisville and Michigan State. Who you got there if those two happen to play?
I've got Michigan State moving on.
Yep, me too. And then UCF and UConn.
I've got UConn.
Me too. All right, that gets us to the Sweet 16. Duke and St. John's. Who you got there?
I've got Duke.
All right, I've got I've got St. John's. I don't know if this has a way to do that. So let's just go Duke. I think they're probably the perennial favorites there, and then Michigan State, UConn. What do you think?
I actually have Michigan State in this one.
Michigan State. All right, we'll move that on, and then
Who'd you
Duke.
have?
I had UConn. I actually had UConn going to the Final Four here,
Well,
but we'll
what's
we'll go with yours this one. We'll go with mine for the tiebreakers in the next one.
all right?
So Duke, Michigan State. Who we got?
I've got Duke in my Final Four.
Yeah, I would have Duke over Michigan State there in that matchup as well. I just think UConn's one of those teams. They have a good point guard if they get out there, and I could see if Duke, is struggling at all without that point guard of 3-4 games down the road here. This could be one that really gives them a tough matchup. But that to me is loaded really with, I think 5 teams could come out of there if they make a run.
Yeah,
All those top 5 seeds, I think, are legitimate threats to get to the Final Four. If for no other reason, they have Hall of Fame coaches are scattered throughout it, and future Hall of Fame coaches, and then a lot of talent. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to the South, the bottom side on the left, if you're following along. So you got Florida playing the playing game winner of Lehigh and Prairie View. So I'm assuming the Gators here.
yeah, definitely.
All right, yeah. So Florida, like I said, playing as good as anybody. They took a bad loss there to Vanderbilt in the semifinals of the SEC tournament, but I think they have, for most nights, even when they're playing bad, they have their rebounding allows them to stay in games and win games they may shouldn't have otherwise. All right, second one, Clemson and Iowa.
This one's a toss-up for me because I don't know much about either team. Although I have seen Clemson play, so I went with Clemson.
Yep, I'm the same way. I hate Clemson there. Just like you said, sheer fact, I've saw them play. All right, Vanderbilt and McNeese.
This one's intriguing, and I know a lot of people probably want to pick McNeese in a possible upset here, but I went with Vanderbilt.
Yep, I did too. I just think Tyler Tanner is the real deal, and now that the Duke kid is back, he gives him another shooter to be able to allow Tanner to kind of space the floor, get penetration, set it up for other guys. And I think they're a really good team, proven by getting to the championship game of the SEC tournament. All right, Nebraska and Troy. We mentioned this a little bit on our live stream. Nebraska going for their first ever victory in the NCAA tournament, the last Power 5 school to never win a game. So they have Troy here. I think Kentucky opened it last year with Troy. So who you got in this one?
I think they're going to get their first win. I've got Nebraska.
Me too. They're actually they fell a seed line here in just the last couple days of the season. They were kind of thought to be a 3 seed for most of this season, even flirting with a 2 for a while. But they moved them down to a 4. So let's move on. I've got Nebraska too. So North Carolina and VCU. I'm going to tell you, Matt, this is one of those upsets I've got circled, especially without Caleb Wilson. I'm thinking VCU here.
Well, I think that you and a lot of other people think that too.
Yep.
And I think that's very, very possible. I went ahead and went with Carolina. But honestly, I think VCU is a good pick here as well. So,
all right, we'll move VCU on there. And then Illinois and Penn. So the only thing here, I think I've got Illinois, but the only thing, with the coach there at Penn, he's familiar with Illinois. He just left Iowa, Fran McCaffrey, and so I could see this one being close. But who do you have here?
I've got Illinois. I'd love to see Penn. Now, Penn, listen, I think this will be closer than what people think, though.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We'll go Illinois there, and then St. Mary's, Texas A&M.
I've got A&M just because I know they're going to have their athleticism is going to be overpowering, I think, a little bit to St. Mary's.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've got A&M, But this is one just kind of thinking the way A&M plays, they kind of a frantic, fast-paced game. You know those West Coast teams are going to shoot a lot of threes. So if it's a night where Texas A&M is not particularly playing well and they're trying to press a team like that, they could get ran. But I'm assuming both teams playing their best. I think Texas A&M probably wins a close game there. And then Houston and Idaho, I'm thinking Houston. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, Houston,
Yep.
all the way.
All right. So Florida and Clemson. Who we got there? I'm thinking Gators still.
I've got Gators. Yep.
Yep. And then Vandy and Nebraska.
Well, I picked Nebraska now, and that's really on based on nothing other than just on a hunch.
I could see that sometimes when I'm doing this bracket and I can't help it. I guess I almost imagine the stories that I can believe you can see. Like, well, Nebraska never won a game and now they're in the Sweet 16. It just seems like something made for the tournament. So we'll move Nebraska forward there. All right, now VCU and Illinois. What you got?
I've got Illinois moving on.
Yep, I do as well. And then finally, Texas A&M and Houston. I've got Houston. What about you?
I've got Houston, but if A&M wins that first game, that's an upset alert. If you just because A&M plays, so they're kind of a physical team too, and they kind of it's kind of a similar style. Um, I could see A&M giving Houston a game, but I've got Houston winning.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, then Florida and Nebraska.
I've got Florida.
Yep, I do too. The Nebraska's first NCAA tournament run comes to an end there in the second weekend, and then Illinois and Houston.
I've got Houston.
I've got Houston too. All right, and then the Gators in Houston. I'll tell you, I've got Houston here.
Okay, I've got Florida, so let's take Houston.
All right, so we'll go Houston, and that's our first one seed out. I think the ones are really strong, and really, I think the twos that have a legitimate chance, assuming no upsets and things, which there always are, I think are UConn and Houston. I think probably one of those two will get there. It's just a matter of who it is. All right, and then next we have Arizona and Long Island, so Rod Strickland's team. Assuming you got the one seed going there, Arizona, a lot of people's pick for a championship this year.
Yeah, I've got Arizona.
And then Villanova and Utah State.
Well, I don't think I've seen either team play this year. I know nothing about. The only thing I know about Villanova is they do have a Caden Lewis. So
And Devin Askew.
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. So I'm actually going with Nova.
Yep. All right, we'll go with Villanova. That's who I have as well. Surprisingly, I was reading an article from the Lexington Herald today, and they were talking about former recruits and former UK players in March Madness. Devin Askew averaging 10 points a game, almost 40% from three, and actually won the Sixth Man of the Year award in the Big East. So that was surprising. I don't know, to go from,
Well,
I guess in his sixth year, he gets Sixth Man of the Year.
Charm.
Yeah, 6 years of charming. It lets you know, though, really how poorly constructed that team was that Calipari had. Askew, I think, was an early enrollee at Kentucky during the COVID year, so should have been playing his senior year. Actually starts for Calipari, and now his 6th year in college basketball, and he's just a sixth man on an average Villanova team. So we were kind of behind the eight ball with him as a point guard that year.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got Wisconsin and High Point.
Well, this is one of my upsets. I don't necessarily believe with my heart that High Point's going to win, but I do think that that's with their style of play. If they make threes, then I think I could see them beating Wisconsin.
I'm the same way. I've got High Point in my bracket that I filled out. I think they're an athletic team, and I think sometimes when you take a team like Wisconsin, when you're playing teams that are more talented, your style of offense can hurt them. But when you're playing a team less talented, sometimes it can hurt Wisconsin. So I've got High Point there as well, and another former Cat and Cam Fletcher. All right, Arkansas and Hawaii. I know a lot of the media has been making a big deal. Arkansas played Sunday, having to get right back on a plane and be out to the West Coast by Thursday. Cal was whining about it, but does it cause them to have an upset here?
I don't think so. I think Arkansas is just going to have too many athletes to for Hawaii to deal with.
I agree. I'm going Arkansas, but I will be a Rainbow Warrior Thursday. You
Oh,
can
I'll
bet
be
on
out
it.
pulling for Hawaii all day long, brother.
Yeah, be the biggest Rainbow Warrior since Jeff Gordon back in the day. All right, BYU and NC State and Texas. I have BYU, but like this is one to me, I could see it going the other way. What do you think?
I have BYU winning, and mainly because, and I could see them losing, but they're going to have the two best players on the floor
Yep.
uh, on on either team. You know, BYU's got two studs, and like I said, their two studs are better than any two players that the other two schools have. Um, and I just think it's going to be enough to get them past that round.
Right. All right. So now Gonzaga and Kennesaw State. Going with the Zags?
I've got the Zags.
Yeah, me too. All right, next one I think is an intriguing game. Kind of stylistically, some differences. Miami and Missouri. So who you got there?
Well, this game is in St. Louis,
Yes.
and so I'm taking Missouri because it's basically going to be like a home game for them.
All right. I've actually got Miami, so let me go to ESPN here and see. Let this be the tiebreaker. And they have Miami with a 62% chance of winning. Now, I will say this. I've not watched Miami play. I know Jay Lucas, I think, is going to be one of the next big things in coaching, it feels like to me. But Mitchell could be a problem for them. I know he's a problem for Kentucky. They make him look like an All-American. But we'll go with Miami here for this one. And I feel like this is one, if Miami can win the first one, I think they have a real chance to get to the Sweet 16. Like whoever wins that matchup, I could see beating Purdue, assuming you have Purdue winning the next one.
Yeah, I've got Purdue beating Queens.
Yep. So do I. All right, so let's keep going in the West. Now we have Arizona and Villanova. Still taking Arizona.
Yep, I'm Arizona.
All right, and then High Point and Arkansas.
I've got Arkansas winning
Yep,
that.
me too. Cal and Cameron Fletcher reunion. I'm sure they've missed each other. I think Cameron was the one that quit midway through a game one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So BYU and Gonzaga.
I've got Gonzaga
Yep.
moving on here.
Me too. I think that has the potential to be a really good game because Diabonte is going to be the best player on the court, and it's one of those. If he's going to shine in March Madness, that's the game. All right, Missouri and Purdue, or Miami and Purdue. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think Purdue's playing well right now. I mean, I think Purdue's will beat Missouri, or I'm sorry, beat Miami.
Yeah, whoever we put through. All right, yeah, I got Purdue as well. All right, Final Four here in this region: Arizona, Arkansas.
I've got Arizona.
Me too, and Gonzaga and Purdue.
I've got Gonzaga.
Me as well. All right, and then finally Arizona and Gonzaga.
I've got Arizona.
Me too. So, 2 1 seeds and a 2 so far. Getting to the last one. We'll wrap this up relatively soon. All right, Michigan, and then the winner of Howard and UMBC. I've got Michigan. I'm assuming you do as well.
Yep.
All right. Then this gets us to another intriguing, I think, 8-9 game. Just a stylistically, just very different teams. Georgia and St. Louis. To me, I don't know who you have, but it's one I could just see almost the reverse of like the High Point and Wisconsin game. I could just see Georgia's, athletes really bothering St. Louis. I know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has been just a star since he was at Indiana State. But, man, it's hard for me to imagine him guarding somebody like Somto.
Yeah. I have St. Louis here, and mainly because I literally had like every SEC team winning so
Yeah,
far. I was like, wow, this is one where I could definitely. But yeah, it's a toss up for me. I have no reason to pick St. Louis other than I was just like, well, I'm just going to go with St. Louis. So
yeah. So this is one where ESPN's got it very tight as well. Uh, it says it's a little risky. St. Louis has nearly 50-50 odds to win this matchup, and it's underrated by the public. So let's go ahead and let's move St. Louis through there. I think I'll probably be pulling for them, but sometimes I pull for SEC teams, sometimes I don't. But this is one. Shirts is from LMU, kind of near our neck of the woods, and was there before a brief stop at Indiana State, and just signed an extension at St. Louis. But I'd like to see him do well, and I think a lot of people think he's going to be one of the next good coaches in this country. All right, Texas Tech and Akron.
I know this is a darling upset pick too for everybody.
Yep.
And and honestly, I've not seen Akron play a one time this year. I
No.
mean, not even for a second. So I don't know. And I know that Texas Tech's best players hurt. Um, what's it, Toppin?
Yep.
Um, but I've got Texas Tech.
I do too. I think this is one that everybody talks about, and it could just be ugly. And for no other reason, Texas Tech has played one of the top 5 schedules in the country. The Big 12 has been extremely top heavy, and they've taken some losses. But when you're losing to Houston's and Arizona's and Kansas, there's really not a lot of shame in that. And then when you compare that to Akron, who's played the 167th strength of schedule, it seems like they may bite off more than they can chew in Texas Tech, who is athletic and will kind of get after them. So we'll go Tech there. And then we have Alabama and Hofstra. Now, this is intriguing. I would just blindly almost pick Alabama, but I think you have to discuss the fact that their leading scorer was arrested with 2.1 pounds of pot. So he doesn't look like he's going to play since he's not allowed on campus at the moment. So will that open the door for an upset to you?
Uh, Not against Hofstra.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Me. I mean, I think there's a chance, but I think that Alabama's going to have enough to get by Hofstra without him.
Yep, I'm exactly with you. I was trying to bait you into a bad pick there. All right. So then we've got Miami of Ohio and SMU. The winner of that will play Tennessee. Anybody got anything for the Vols?
I've got Tennessee winning that one.
Me too. Nate Ament, I think when he's playing as well as he has been lately, is special. I think he's probably going to be, for me personally, probably 5th off the board, just because of his ceiling. I think is as high as anybody if he puts all the pieces together. And this is a special draft class, which we'll talk about later in the summer. But that gets to the next one, Virginia and Wright State. Virginia's one that they're always right for an upset. But what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, if Virginia were to lose this game, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, but I've got them winning.
Yeah, the metrics, this is one that, for whatever reason, give Wright State next to no chance. They have Virginia has a 97% chance to win. Not sure why, because they've proven they can, lose to anybody. The first 1 seed to lose to a 16 and so on. But I've got Virginia as well. And it's one, honestly, if they don't get beat at the beginning, I could see them getting past Tennessee just because stylistically they're so different. And that gets us to the Cats, Kentucky and Santa Clara, playing a former Kentucky assistant coach in Herb Sendek. Think the Cats anything to worry about? I know this Kentucky team, it's just a matter of who shows up, but what's your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think Kentucky should win the game. Now, could we lose it? Absolutely.
Yep.
But I've got us winning this one, and I think that we're the better team. But like I said, this we could definitely lose. So listen. I'm always worried, no matter who we play.
Yep.
Um,
Especially
yeah,
this team.
yeah. So, but I've got the Cats.
Yeah, I thought KSR did a good job of pointing out You know, a lot's been made about Santa Clara, how well they shoot the ball and they shoot a lot of threes. But when you look at it, they're just 0.2% better 3-point shooters than Kentucky is, and I don't think anybody's going to argue that we're a great shooting team.
Right.
So, yeah, I've got the Cats as well. And then that gets us to Iowa State and Tennessee State. I'm assuming you're going with Iowa State there?
Yep. Give me the Cyclones.
Yep, those Cyclones. All right, Michigan and St. Louis.
I've got Michigan.
Yeah, me too. Michigan's one of those, just to me, one of the 6 teams that can win it. Texas Tech and Bama.
Well, this is one where you know, I guess it just kind of depends. If I've got Bama, but honestly, it's either way. So I don't know if you've got Tech, we'll put Tech through because
Yeah, I've got Tech, and I think this is just where the Holloway one shows up.
well,
But
right, yeah,
but potentially, the same thing could be true about Texas Tech. They're without their leading scorer as well and topping. So I guess it's going to be next man up and who can do that best.
yeah, for sure. I think. I mean, have we heard is Holloway?
They've not said for sure, and I think you probably never know with Oates. But it's just hard for me to imagine he's going to play if he's
I
because
can't,
the university said he's not
cannot.
allowed on campus.
Yeah, I cannot imagine him playing.
And
So,
2.1 pounds a pot is a lot of marijuana.
yeah,
I mean, that's a
yeah, a
lot.
whole lot.
So, all right. So that gets us then to uh, Tennessee and Virginia.
I have Tennessee in this one.
Yep, I do too. It's one that, I could see this being close, but ultimately I think Tennessee finds a way. I'm not a big believer in Virginia. If it was probably anybody halfway decent, had any star power other than Wright State, I may pick them to lose in the first round. All right, Kentucky and Iowa State.
Man, well, obviously, I want Kentucky to win. I
Yeah,
want to pick Kentucky to win. I don't think they will win this game,
no,
but so I've got Iowa State. But
yeah,
listen, man, I think Kentucky. If Kentucky wins that first game, we're playing with house money
yeah.
in that game, and so you know, I like our chances against Iowa State, but I think at the end, I think they'll beat us.
Yeah, I think if Kentucky came out and played their best game, I think they can. But they're kind of like Kansas. I can't imagine them doing that 2 games in a row. You know, they've just not shown they can do that very often. They've not put together back-to-back quality games many times this season, even when they've had some win streaks. Some of those have been ugly. Some of those have been games that shouldn't even been games. And so, yeah, I've got Iowa State. I hate to say it. I would love to, have Kentucky going all the way, but this team just really, from the second exhibition game on, was pretty clear they don't have it.
Right.
So, all right, that gets us to the Sweet 16 in the Midwest. So, Michigan and Texas Tech.
I've got Michigan.
Yeah, I do too. And then Tennessee and Iowa State.
I've got Iowa State.
I do too. And then Michigan going to the Final Four for me. What about you?
Yep. Yeah, I've got Michigan. I just think Michigan at the end of the day uh, is going to be hard to handle.
All right, so let's pause right there and just talk about something real briefly. We have a Final Four of Duke, Houston, Arizona, and Michigan, 3 1 seeds and a 2. Very plausible. But I do think we need to discuss something we're going to talk about whenever this tournament's over and the season's over for Kentucky. We have to dive into recruiting. But I guess what's going to be making the rounds, especially them in the same region as us, is this article from, Yaxel at Michigan. So if you saw that, and what were your thoughts on it?
Well, when I first heard about it and saw it, I was thinking to myself, did we really offer Jaxel
Yeah.
7 million or 9 million? That's a big difference, by the way.
Yeah.
7 and 9.
Right.
Uh, and I was so and him saying, "Well, I I could have gone taking the money, but the other coach said he was gonna, work on trying to make me a better player." And I'm not sure I buy it. I think um, I I don't think Mark Pope is just out there being like, I don't care about about how you play. We just we'll pay you whatever we you want to get you here.
Yeah, it seems
I'm just not
doesn't
sure
seem that way
about
to
it.
me.
What's
I
that?
like you. I said it doesn't seem that way to me either. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I just, I don't buy it. I don't buy that you turn down. I think he said in the article he went to Michigan for a third. You're not turning down $6 million
No.
to go play at Michigan because you like Dusty May better for Mark Pope when you're going to be there for 6 months. I mean, you're a senior. You have no more eligibility left. So, and I was reading an article, or at least some hints online, that one of the biggest holdups that Kentucky had wasn't the price, it wasn't anything else, but he was requiring a down payment of whoever he committed to before he even decided if he was going to come to school. Because if you remember, his name was in the NBA draft, and he didn't decide until the last day, and it was legit didn't know because he was a end of the first round, early second, and he was waiting on all the feedback he could get. And so he was wanting a big chunk of his NIL, whether or not he even showed up at your school. And that was the holdup with Kentucky. Not necessarily money, which is, was understandable because Kentucky, they spent, just like Michigan, probably two of the top spending schools on their NIL this year. But from everything I've read, that was a bigger holdup than actually any money or relationship or anything like that.
Yeah, and listen, I'm I'm not really of the belief that we should just start should pay people hoping that they might come.
Right.
Like, no, I think we'll pay you if you're coming, but I'm not going to give you, you know, 500 grand down payment on hopes that you come.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't.
with you. And to me, that's why the only way forward, and we'll talk about that this summer, is contracts. These kids have to become employees. This is big business, and we need to get this taken care of to where not necessarily transfers are limited or whatever, but you're signing some sort of contract to where there's skin in the game from both parties, and that opens the door to really clean this up. But right now, it's just a mess. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Final Four that we have projected as Duke and Houston in that first game. So, who do you have here if this happens to be the matchup?
Well, listen, I think Houston. This is a very. I think Houston could definitely get by and win this game.
Yeah,
Um, uh, it just kind of depends on Duke's health.
yeah,
The Foster kid could be back by then.
yeah, possibly.
Um, and then they've got that other kid that's hurt that I think will be back.
Yeah,
Um, I think he'll probably be back the end of this week,
yep, I would think so. Probably second game.
from what it sounds like. So I don't know, man. I've got Duke in mind. I've got Duke going
Okay.
forward.
And I've got Houston, but we'll go to the tiebreaker. ESPN would have that theoretical matchup. Duke, a 59% chance to win. So we'll move Duke to the national championship game. My hand will rip me right, such blasphemy. But all right, and then it gets Arizona and Michigan. I think this could just be one of those classic Final Four games. I think both of these teams are quality teams, have been two of the top three teams from the very first moment of this season. But who do you have here?
I've got Arizona.
Yep. I actually do too. I have Arizona going to the national championship game. ESPN disagrees with us. They've got a 56% chance for Michigan to win, but we're taking Arizona. And that gets us to a national championship of Duke and Arizona. So if this happens to be the case, who do you like?
Arizona, like I said the other day, I think Arizona's the best team in the country. I think they'll win.
Yeah. For me, I've had just my personal bracket I've did this year in our kind of work pool. I have Houston and Arizona with Houston winning. I think Kelvin Sampson's been knocking on the door. But if this is the final game, I think Arizona wins. To me, they have maybe Duke probably has the best player in this. But if you go top 5 players, Arizona may have 2, 3, and 4. They have just quality up and down the roster. They turn the ball over at a lower level. They've played a tougher strength of schedule. And so overall, I'm with you, Arizona. So that's the Kentucky line bracket. We've got Arizona winning. At least we picked the Wildcats. Would be the first time a team that far west, Matt, has won since 1997 when Arizona beat Kentucky in overtime. So
Yeah,
that's a heartbreaking game. But a lot of those West Coast teams have been on a major drought since then. But we're thinking they can get it done this year, especially between them and Houston. So any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
No, I think as far as Kentucky and Kentucky fans are concerned, um, I think that Kentucky being a 7 seed is in as good of a position as you could ask for. Um, you get Santa Clara
Mm-hmm.
as your first round game, and then you get one of the 2 seeds that you would, if you had to choose, you get you get one of them in Iowa State. They're not unbeatable by any means. And then if you win that, you're going to play either probably Virginia or Tennessee, and I'm not scared of either of those 2 teams. So I mean, listen, we've got a chance to. If we play well, this team could make a little bit of a run. So I think there's reasons to be hopeful.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, we talked about this with the last bracketology there when we were talking about, I think it's even before the Florida game. Joe Lenardi had Kentucky playing Santa Clara, and in that the 2 seed was Iowa State, and that's what we said. Sign us up for that. And I think when you look at the other options, I don't want any of UConn if I'm Kentucky. I don't want any of Houston especially.
Absolutely not.
And then Purdue, I don't think it's good, but I think just the storyline of you got crushed by this Kentucky team, yada, 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 would be enough to
Yeah,
get them over the finish line. So I wouldn't want to have to play them again. So all things considered, you're a 7 seed. You've not had a great season. You can't complain, but this is as good as you can hope for. And I'm looking forward to March, favorite month of the year. It's here, and games have actually started now. So we'll hop off here and go watch the end of this first one. So anything else?
no man, let's go Cats.
Go Cats. We'll see everybody next time.
Later.